At number 1, the Nationals took prep shortstop Eli Willits. Now, I could see some people being really split on this one since Ethan Holiday was the top-ranked player coming into this draft, and Cade Anderson was the best fit pitching-wise for the Nationals, as well as being regarded as the best pitcher in this draft. However, I actually really like this pick a lot because I'm a big fan of Willits. He's a good athlete with speed, plays a solid shortstop, makes hard line drive contact to all fields against both high velo and secondary pitches, and he has advanced plate discipline at a young age. Now, the power is only graded at a 50 right now, but that should develop more over time as he grows into his frame. What I like about Willits the most, though, is he has a high baseball IQ. He's just a well-rounded player with good upside. Now, with Ethan Holiday and Cade Anderson, they were both represented by Scott Boras, so I think money was a factor here. But in the end, I personally think Holiday and Willits aren't very far off from each other, with Holiday only ahead in power at the moment. Now, on top of that, the Nationals have had success developing talent. Overall, I think it's a solid pick, and they saved some money here for the rest of the draft. I'm going to give it an A. On to the Angels at number 2, and they went with a surprise pick here, taking Tyler Bremner out of UC Santa Barbara. Now, I like Bremner a lot. He's got good velo, a plus nasty changeup. I love me a good changeup. A slider with potential. He's got a smooth delivery. He throws a lot of strikes. A good recipe for a successful major league pitcher. Now, on the other hand, I could see some people not liking this pick because I do think there is an argument they could have taken someone ranked higher, like the top college pitching prospect in Cade Anderson or Liam Doyle, who has high-octane stuff. Now, honestly, at first, I wasn't a big fan of the pick, but I knew they probably saved some money here, so I wanted to see how the rest of the draft would go, and in the end, I think it ended up being a good strategy. They ended up getting some good value later on in the draft, including the massive 6'8" righty and Chase Shores out of LSU, Johnny Slowinski, who they could probably go over slot with now if they do save some money with Bremner. They also got a couple of high-upside prep left-handers in Talon Haley and Mitchell, who were projected to go in the top 5, but ended up in the double-digit rounds, and with the savings, they can probably convince them to forego college. Overall, while sure, I think the Angels could have taken a higher-ranked arm at number 2, it should help them on the other high-upside picks. I'll give it a B. And at number 3, the Mariners went with Cade Anderson. Now, like I said, he was the top college arm in this draft thanks to the good life on his fastball, a plus changeup with good sink, and good breaking pitches with good spin. Now, the best part about this to me, though, is the Mariners already have a good amount of young pitching at the major league level, so there's really no need to rush him here, and with the good pitching development they have, they could get him to a higher level. I'm going to give this an A+. For the Rockies at number 4, they went with the top-ranked Ethan Holiday. Now, no-brainer of a pick here. Like I said earlier, when comparing him to Eli Willits, he has very good power, graded at a 65 by Baseball America, thanks to his big frame and quick swing. And at Coors Field down the road, this could be very fun to watch. Now, there is a bit of swing and miss with him, but he has solid plate discipline that should help him get better over time. Now, defensively, he doesn't have the best agility, but he has a very good arm, so he's probably a good fit for third base down the road. But really, we're looking at the bat here. And, of course, he is the son of Matt Holliday, Rockies legend. It's just a great pick all the way around. I'm going to give it an A+. For the Cardinals, they went with lefty Liam Doyle. Now, like I said earlier, this guy throws gas with a plus fastball with very good life and has a very good splitter to go along with it. Now, he does have to work on his breaking pitches since they do lack command at times, and his delivery, at least in my opinion, is a bit jerky, if that makes sense, which could lead to more command issues down the road, and maybe even has a bit of reliever risk there. In the end, though, the Cardinals needed a pitcher like this, someone with great stuff, not someone that just gets a bunch of ground balls, so I like it a lot for them. I'm going to give it an A. Did I want the Pirates to take a bat here at number 6? Yes. Am I also happy they got themselves arguably the best pitching prospect in right-hander Seth Hernandez here? Absolutely. Now, sure, prep pitchers in the first round usually come with high risk, but to me personally, Hernandez passes the eye test. He's got a solid frame, a smooth delivery, plus velo, and very good stuff with both a 70-grade changeup and very good breaking pitches. Not only that, but he goes to an organization that's developed pitching very well in recent years, with Bubba Chandler currently ranked as the top pitching prospect in baseball. Again, a part of me wishes the Pirates did take a bat here because they really need more upside offensively, but I'm not mad at this at all. I'm going to go with an A. On to the Marlins, and they took shortstop Iva Arquette. Now, I love this pick for the Marlins, and honestly, I really like the Marlins draft as a whole. They took a bunch of college bats with upside, with Arquette leading the way. Big frame, which could make him move over to third base at some point down the road, but he'll be fine at either third or shortstop, in my opinion. Now, the bat is the calling card here, with the power especially. He's 6'5", quick hands and good strength to all fields, which could result in 30-plus homers a year, and the Marlins really needed a bat like this in the organization. I'm going to give it an A+. For the Blue Jays, they took shortstop JoJo Parker. Now, I could see some Blue Jays fans not liking this because I think a lot of them wanted to add some pitching to the organization, but to me, you can never go wrong with drafting a high upside prep shortstop. Now, to me, I think the Blue Jays needed to beef up the back end of their farm, and Parker is a solid choice here. He already has an advanced bat graded at a 60 coming out of high school, a smooth and quick swing from the left side, good plate discipline and solid contact to all fields, while also flashing good plate discipline. Now, he's not the quickest guy out there, but he does have a very good arm, so there is a chance he could move to third at some point, but he is going to get a chance to stay at short. Either way, solid pick. I'm going to give it an A. At number 9, we saw the Reds take another shortstop in Steele Hall. Now, like I said, you can never go wrong drafting a prep shortstop, and Hall definitely shows flashes of being a good one. Now, the one thing that jumps off the page with Hall is his athleticism, with his run tool graded at a 70, which does translate to good range at short, along with a solid arm, so he's definitely a lock to stay at shortstop long term. The bat is more of a question mark since there is some swing and miss here, with his mechanics getting a bit wonky from time to time, and he has had some trouble with breaking and off-speed pitches, but he does have very good bat speed, and he should be able to add more power as he develops more, probably looking at around a 25 homer per year kind of a guy. Another interesting fact here is he's very young for this draft class and actually reclassified to be in this one instead of next year. Combine that with the athleticism he has, and I think there's a ton of upside here. Now, I do think the Reds passed on some very good pitching with Jamie Arnold and Kyson Witherspoon, something they've done well with here in recent years, and they could have nabbed a prep shortstop later on like Nick Becker. And on top of that, they already have a couple of high upside shortstops like Tyson Lewis and Sammy Stafura. In the end, though, lots of upside. I'll go with a B. At number 10, we had another prep shortstop in Billy Carlson. Now, the White Sox are still a ways away from being serious contenders again, but I think this was a pretty solid pick. He's the best defensive shortstop in the class, and he makes it look easy out there with a 70 field tool, but he does need to work on the bat a bit here. Now, he's more of a line drive bat, but with a few tweaks, I think he could tap into some more power because he has a 6'1" frame and he has athleticism. Now, I do think the White Sox could have gone with someone maybe a little closer to Major League ready as they try to get into a competitive window here in the next couple of years. Maybe a bat like Ike Irish, who was just sitting there, or you could have gone with another college arm like Jamie Arnold or Kyson Witherspoon. But overall, again, like I've said, it never hurts to draft a high school shortstop. With Carlson, I do think he has a pretty high floor because of his elite defense. I'm going to go with a B+ here. Moving away from the shortstops here, we had Jamie Arnold coming off the board at 11 to the A's. Now, a great pick for the A's here. They really needed to add a starting pitcher, in my opinion. Sure, both of their top 100 prospects are pitchers, but with the amount of good bats they already have at the Major League level, it made sense for me for them to add some more pitching. Now, Arnold out of FSU, very solid. Plus velo with life from the left side with a plus slider, an occasional changeup, and he throws a lot of strikes with a lower arm slot. Good landing spot for him here, and he should help the A's sooner rather than later as they get closer to competing again. I'll go with an A. For the Rangers at number 12, they took Gavin Feen. I'll be honest here. I think Feen could potentially be one of the better bats coming out of this class, and there are independent scouts out there that had him ranked very high on their own boards, even at number 1 on a couple of them that I saw. He's got a good frame at 6'3" and 200 pounds coming out of high school, and he's already a solid all-around hitter who made a lot of good line drive contact against top-tier competition this past season. He already has solid power, and over time he should develop more power as he grows into his frame. He has a good arm that profiles well for third base, and he's in a Rangers system that's had a lot of success developing bats in recent years. I also love that the Rangers finally took a high school bat in the first round, something they haven't done since 2017. I'm going to go with an A+. On to the Giants at number 13, and they took Gavin Keelan. Very good hitter here that makes a ton of contact with great plate discipline, but also increased his power this past season at Tennessee. Long term, he probably profiles more as a second baseman because of his fringe arm, but he can get the job done at shortstop, in my opinion. Buster Posey was taking more of a scout-oriented approach for this draft instead of analytically driven, and Keelan does fit that mold here. Now, there were some higher upside players on the board like Daniel Pierce, or even a college arm like Kyson Witherspoon that I think would have fit them very well, but I like this pick. Just a solid player who plays hard. I wouldn't be surprised to see him up in San Fran in the next year or two. I'll give this an A-. On to the Rays, and of course, they took a high upside player with athleticism. That's something they've done in recent years, but my guess is they didn't expect Pierce to get to them here because he was getting mocked a lot before the Rays, so they took advantage here. Pierce is an athletic prep shortstop who has had an inconsistent bat in the past, but he cleaned some things up this past season, and he showed better quality contact against good competition, good bat speed, good contact to all fields, good eye at the plate. Now, he's 6 foot, so there's not a ton of upside for power here, but I could see a 20 to 25 home run a year kind of a guy. The Rays have had success getting more power out of their bats, so I think this is a good fit overall. I'm going to go with an A. On to my Red Sox at number 15, and they got yet another projected top 10 pick falling to them in Kyson Witherspoon. Now, pretty much every mock draft out there had Witherspoon somewhere in the top 12, and the Red Sox snagged him at number 15. Very good value here. I really like this pick a lot. He's got a good athletic build at 6'2" and 200 pounds. He's got a 4-pitch mix with good velo and nasty breaking stuff. And because of his compact delivery, it has led to better command. Now, he could use a bit more work getting more consistent results with the changeup. That does have potential. And I do wonder if there could be some issues with the arm down the road due to his short arm action. But so far, he's made it work and he stayed healthy. Again, another birthday gift that the Red Sox took advantage of. And they have been riding a wave of success developing pitchers over the last year. I'm going to give this an A+. Hey everybody, just letting you know this video is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, the best place to play fantasy sports this season. Use code HYDE to get up to $1,000 in bonus credits. That's a great deal. Take advantage. That's free money to just get in the game. Whether you're just drafting a best ball team or making pick'em entries, Underdog makes it simple, fast, and super fun. You can win real money by just picking higher or lower on your favorite player's stats. No season-long stress, no waivers, no drama. And also, if you download today and for the month of July using the code HYDE, Underdog is going to give you a free mystery pick. Again, use the code HYDE at sign up to get up to $1,000 in bonus credits. Download the app, and we got the QR code right here on the screen. Go take advantage. Go win yourself some money. And of course, like always, please play responsibly. For the Twins at 16, they went with Merrick Houston. And hey, I got one right on my mock draft. I can't even believe it. Now, the Twins haven't taken many college players in recent years, but this is a good fit to me and just good value overall. Now, Houston's a solid hitter that makes a ton of contact, and he did tap into some more power this past year. He's also yet another good athlete here, and at 6'3", I wouldn't be surprised to see the Twins get a bit more pop out of him. Most of all, though, he's a very good defender at shortstop with excellent range and a good arm. He could end up being a solid player for the Twins down the road. Maybe at some point as Correa starts to get older, maybe he can move over to third base, and Houston can become the shortstop. We'll just have to wait and see, but I'm going to go with an A here. For the Cubs at 17, they took Ethan Conrad. Now, this one was interesting to me because while I do like Conrad out of Wake Forest, I feel personally they passed on some better college bats like Ike Irish or Brendan Summerhill, or a good college arm that was still on the board in Gage Wood. Now, maybe there was some savings here for the Cubs, and if that was the case, there could be some decent value here. Now, perhaps they also saw more upside since he does have a good build at 6'3". He's got a solid left-handed bat that hits more into the gaps as of right now, but he can be a bit over-aggressive at times, and he tends to not pull the ball very often, so he's going to have to work on that. Again, not a bad player at all, and they probably did save some money here, but I think they could have gone with a better player. I'm going to go with a C. For the D-backs at 18, they went with Kason Cunningham. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe it. I got another mock draft pick right. Unbelievable. Now, I'm a big fan of Cunningham. He does lack size at 5'10", so his power is going to be limited down the road, but I don't care. This guy is an absolute hitting machine. He gets the barrel on the ball a ton. He rarely strikes out, and he has a good swing from the left side. Kind of reminds me of Jacob Wilson a little bit. He's also a good athlete with good speed, but defensively, scouts say he lacks the twitchiness for a shortstop and see him more as a second baseman down the road. To me, though, because of his speed, I could see him being fine either there or at shortstop. We'll just have to wait and see, but very excited for him. I love the fit here, A+. On to the Orioles at 19, and they went with Ike Irish. Now, there were some rumors that Irish was going to go in the top 10, and even some outlets out there wondered if he can go into the top 5 on an underslot deal. So the fact that the Orioles got him at 19 is pretty big in my opinion. Now, he's coming off a monster season at Auburn in which he hit .364 with a .710 slugging and 19 homers. He's got a plus hit tool because he makes hard contact to all fields, and he recognizes all pitches very well. He has good power, but he does hit a lot of ground balls, so some scouts wonder how his power is going to translate. Now, defensively at catcher, he does have a good arm, but he is a bit slow back there, so some scouts wonder if he would be a better fit for the outfield, and that would preserve his bat long term. We'll just have to wait and see, but I really like this pick for the Orioles. Great value here, great bat for their system. I'm going to go A+. On to the Brewers at number 20, and they took first baseman Andrew Fisher. Now, this is such a Brewers pick in my opinion because they always take someone that's ranked lower than where they're drafting, and that player usually has one good tool and usually coming out of college. And in this case, Fisher was that guy coming out of the University of Tennessee, and the big thing with him is the power tool graded at a 60 because of his bat speed and his ability to put the ball in the air. And he also showed some improved plate discipline this past season. Now, defensively, he's looking more like a first baseman because of his lack of range despite the arm strength. So I'm a little bit split on this one. I do like the bat, and I think he can be a productive offensive player, but at this point, it seems he's more limited to first base and DH down the road, so I feel like they could have gone with someone with a bit more defensive upside here. Guys like Vahiva Aloy, who has power and he's solid defensively on the left side of the infield. Maybe Caden Bodine, who's a solid catcher with a very good hit tool. Even Gage Wood on the pitching side of things, who has a high upside arm, was still available at this pick. But they have had success with college bats, though, so I'm going to give it a B. Speaking of power, the Astros took Xavier Nyans at 21. Like the Brewers, the Astros usually go with college players, but instead, they went with a different approach and took a high-power upside bat out of high school. Now, I like this for them because they really needed to start beefing up the back end of their farm while they transition to more younger talent here in the next couple of years, and Nyans could be an absolute stud. This guy's massive at 6'4". He's got a ton of power from the left side because of his bat speed and his leverages, along with how well he uses his lower body. There is a bit of swing and miss there, and he could do better in hitter counts, but he does draw a lot of walks. In the field, he moves well, and he has a good arm, so he's probably going to be a good fit for third base down the road because of his size. Overall, solid pick. I'm going to go with an A. On to the Braves at 22, and they took a young shortstop in Tate Southesine. Now, the Braves have gone pitching heavy in the first round in recent years, so this was a nice change of pace, in my opinion, to see them take a high upside shortstop. Now, Southesine kind of flew under the radar a bit in this draft, but he's just a solid-looking prospect overall that doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. He's a good athlete at 5'11" with a plus arm, so shortstop shouldn't be a question long-term. Now, the bat does need a bit more developing because there's a lot of moving parts going on with his swing, but he's got a quick swing overall and solid plate discipline. Now, like I've said a few times already, it never hurts to take a prep shortstop, but I do wonder if another prep shortstop, Josh Hammond, who has a bigger frame, more power, ranked higher on Pipeline, and very high by some individual scouts out there on their own boards, would have been the better pick here, or even another high upside arm like Gage Wood, who went to the division rival Phillies. But in the end, I don't hate the pick. At number 23, the Royals took outfielder and second baseman Sean Gamble. Now, I like Sean Gamble a lot. He's got a smooth, quick swing from the left side and has a good feel for the barrel, which leads to a lot of hard contact, but he has had some issues with the swing and miss in the past. Now, he's 6'1", so he should develop a bit more power down the road, and he is athletic. He moves well at either second base or the outfield. Now, with the Royals, they have had their issues offensively over the last couple of years, so a bat with some upside, I think, was a good pick here. Hopefully, they don't mess it up. Maybe they could have gone with some pitching here. They have had more success developing pitching. We'll just have to wait and see. But not a bad idea adding a bat here. I'll go with a B+. For the Tigers, they went with shortstop Jordan Yost. Now, another high school shortstop here, but I'm not sure about this spot for Yost. Now, he's a good athlete with a 60 run tool, and he's a very good hitter that makes a ton of contact and rarely strikes out, but the power is a bit of a question mark long term after he posted some of the lowest exit velos at the draft combine this past year. And at 6 foot, there's probably a good chance you're not going to see a whole lot more. Defensively, again, he's a good athlete, but his fielding right now is rated just around average. Now, again, I don't not like Yost, and I'm sure the Tigers are going to save some money here, but I think they passed on some very good upside like Josh Hammond or even Brady Ebel, or a high upside arm like Cruz Schoolcraft, who would have been a great fit in their pitching-rich organization. So for me, I'm going to go with a D here. Speaking of Cruz Schoolcraft, he went next to the Padres at 25. A year after taking a high school arm in Cash Mayfield, they went with another one in Schoolcraft. Now, first things first, this guy is absolutely massive at 6'8". He's got a plus fastball with a solid slider and changeup. But what I like the most is, even though he's huge, he commands his pitches very well, something that can be an issue for bigger pitchers like this. Now, the Padres have needed to restock the farm with some good pitching, and they didn't pass on a good one here. I'm going to give it an A. On to the Phillies at 26, and they took one of my favorites in this draft, Gage Wood. I'm honestly surprised he didn't go sooner than this. I would imagine the shoulder issue he had this past season could be a reason, but he ended up throwing a 19 strikeout no-hitter in the College World Series, for crying out loud. So I don't know what happened there, but he's got a big fastball with tons of life that gets a ton of swing and misses, and a power curveball with sharp break, along with a slider and changeup that both have potential. Now, there are questions about how he's going to fare long-term as a starter because of the shoulder issue he had that I mentioned, but he has 4 pitches to work with, so I think he has a shot to succeed as a starter. Honestly, though, if he ends up as a closer down the road, I don't think that's bad at all, and he reminds me a lot of Jonathan Papelbon. I'm going to give this an A. The Guardians took Jace Laviolette. Now, you know what's funny? Last year, I was wondering if the Guardians would possibly take Jack Caglione at number 1, but instead, they waited a year and took the next closest thing in Laviolette. Now, the name of the game with Jace is the power, graded at a 65. The dude hits absolute moonshots thanks to his massive frame at 6'6" and good strength, and has power to all fields. He really needs to clean up the swing and miss, though, especially within the strike zone and against fastballs. Now he is a good athlete and he plays the outfield well, but he did have some injuries this past season, so that is something to pay attention to. Overall, his success is going to come down to whether or not he can make consistent contact, especially in the zone, and just stay healthy. Now, Cleveland has had a couple of high upside prospects in recent years with injury risk, like Chase DeLauder and George Valera, so I do wonder if they should have gone with another college bat that makes more contact, like Caden Bodine or even Brendan Summerhill. Power is power, though, and Jace has a lot of that. It's tough to pass that up. I'm going to give this a B+. Now for the Mets, Yankees, and Dodgers, they didn't have their first picks until later since they went way over on the CBT. For the Mets, their first pick came in at 38 and they took Mitch Voigt. Now, the way I see this one is it felt like a safe underslot pick, which isn't a bad strategy in my opinion, since they lost their first pick and they had one of the lowest bonus pools. Now with Voigt, he was a former two-way player out of Michigan who focused only on hitting this past year after getting Tommy John, and it paid off big time. He showed much improved plate discipline this past year, striking out only 13% of the time while walking 15% of the time and hitting .346. He makes solid contact to all fields, and he's a good athlete that can play multiple positions. Now, I do think there's more upside to tap into here since he only just started focusing on hitting recently, but I also think he has a good floor because of the maturity he shows at the plate. On the other hand, I do think they passed on some very good talent that was ranked ahead of Voigt, like good college bats in Brendan Summerhill out of Arizona, or Devin Taylor out of Indiana, or even a prep player like Slater DeBrun, a very athletic player with a good bat. Now, again, since the Mets had one of the lowest bonus pools to this draft, they didn't have much wiggle room here, so I think they took who they thought was the best player possible at a cheap cost. Overall, I'm going to give it a B. For the Yankees at 39, they went with prep shortstop Dax Kilby. Now, with the Yankees having the lowest draft bonus pool this year, there wasn't a lot of room to work with here. Kilby does have a good frame at 6'2", makes a good amount of contact, has very good plate discipline, and has good speed. Now, I've said a million times already that you can't go wrong with drafting a prep shortstop, but defensively with Kilby, there are concerns because he lacks arm strength, so scouts think he could end up moving to second base. There were also some talented prep shortstops ranked ahead of Kilby, like Ryan Mitchell out of Houston, or even Nick Becker out of New Jersey, who both have a better shot to stick at shortstop long term. Even someone like Quentin Young, who has a ton of power, I think could have made sense here. I'm guessing they wanted to save as much money as possible here, but there was better talent available that I think wouldn't have cost that much more, considering they were ranked pretty close to each other. For this one, I'm going to go with a C+. And last but not least, at 42, the Dodgers took college college lefty Zachary Root out of Arkansas. Now, the Dodgers also had a pretty low bonus pool here, but they did have more resources to work with than both the Mets and the Yankees. Root, in my opinion, is a very balanced pitching prospect. Now, he doesn't blow you away with velo, but it's pretty solid, anywhere from 93 to 98. He has a very good curveball and changeup that helped him strike out 30% of batters last year. Now, he does have an unconventional delivery, but it doesn't seem to be an issue because he throws a ton of strikes, shown by his 8.3 walk percentage. Overall, just a good high floor pitcher here, but I do wonder if maybe they could have gone with a bit more upside here in the prep class. But in the end, Root has a high floor, so I can't really be mad at this pick. I'll give it a B. But everybody, that's all I got for right now. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Tell me your grades that you would give for these picks. If you can on the way out, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.